The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to comment whether you agree with the author or not. No retribution. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we are syndicated across the United States into 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I'm so excited about today's guest, and I will tell you why. Because this guy tells it like he sees it. I hate politicians who beat around the bush, who check the polls first, who wet their fingers and stick them out the window to determine what they should be saying when they're asked a question. Not this guy. What you see is what you get with former Governor Jesse Ventura. He's the author of a new book called Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. For those of you who may not know, you may only know him, in a compartmentalized way. Some of you may know him as a former governor. Some of you may know him as a wrestler. Well, he's not just that. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's also a movie actor. He is an author. His first two books, I Ain't Got Time to Bleed and Do I Stand Alone, were both national bestsellers. In this book, Don't Start the Revolution Without Me, holding it up to the camera for you guys, Ventura looks back at his time as governor of Minnesota, at life and politics in America since he left office in January of 2003. He's not too pleased with the candidates for president who are on the ballot. He wishes you could say check none of the above. Politics, as usual, really pisses this guy off, and he'll be talking about that to us as we question him. Jesse Ventura, welcome very much to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Good afternoon. Please, first, though, let me apologize. I had to go to the dentist today, so my upper lip is still just slightly numb.
You're not high on Novocaine or anything, are you?
Oh, no. But it is numb a little bit, so
Okay.
If I slur a word or something, please understand that I had a dentist appointment this afternoon, and it hasn't fully worn off yet.
Okay, no problem. We will give you a pass on any slurred words. I don't have an excuse, though, so maybe it's the water I'm drinking. I don't know. Let's get right to some of the issues you raise in the book. The war in Iraq, you strongly oppose it. You're not the only one, obviously, who does, but you say that Congress could end this war. Now, we know you haven't said for sure what you're going to do, but we know that you are contemplating a race for the U.S. Senate. If you do decide to run, what would you do to bring the boys and girls home?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's go back and examine this war. I believe this war should have never been fought in the first place. We were led into this war with what clearly now many of us have believed, and it's coming to bear now, a lot of trumped-up information, a lot of untruth, and a lot of lying. I remember when Rumsfeld sat on TV leading up to this war telling us that Iraqi oil would pay for the whole thing. Well, that's hardly been the case. I think we can equate this war to many of our economic problems in the country right now. And then you hear people say that, well, we must stay the course. Well, I don't know. I was in the Navy, and if the ship's off on the wrong course to begin with, why would you stay on it?
Exactly.
There's questions like that I feel are strongly about this war, and we need to extract from there as expediently as possible. I loved Ron Paul's answer during the campaign for president when they asked him, and he said, well, we marched in there, we can march out. And, for all these people that say we have to win the war, well, excuse me, I thought we already won. I mean, I remember the president standing on the deck of the aircraft carrier declaring victory. So why do we have to hang our heads over anything?
So you put it on the back. So we're supposed to have checks and balances. We're supposed to have checks and balances, Jesse Ventura, here in the United States of America. How could the United States Congress bring an end to this war right now?
Well, they can bring an end to it simply by not appropriating the funds for it. You know, you hear the Democrats whine and moan, well, we can't override President Bush's vetoes. Well, they don't have to. The Congress controls the purse strings, just like in state government. The governor doesn't control any money. The legislature does. At the federal government, it's the Congress that controls all the money. All they simply have to do is don't appropriate any for Iraq. And that forces the hand and forces us to withdraw.
As I said in the introduction, you'd like to have the option of none of the above for President of the United States. You've been particularly critical of John McCain because you said on Fox News that legally, technically, he's too old to run for President of the United States.
Well, technically, I guess he's not. I guess he could get hired at 73 or whatever he is, but can you imagine him going down and filling out an application to say, be a lock and dam operator for the federal government Corps of Engineers on the Mississippi River? No. And my point being is, after age 65, they put you on Medicare and all this other stuff, and I don't know, it just seems to me that age should be relevant. I loved my father, but when my father got into his 70s and 80s, I wouldn't have wanted him making decisions for the whole world at that point in his life. You question it when you get up that old. Let's face it, from what I've seen in life, as you get old, you go full circle. You do the circle and you revert back to childlike ways, because most elderly people are very much like children in the end.
You say you wrote the book, Don't Start the Revolution Without Me, to wake up the lemmings. You think that the nation's, at least there's an attempt to lead the nation around by our collective noses by the mainstream media, which you feel doesn't really, and I would not disagree with this, by the way, get to the real issues. Could you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Well, look what I live in Mexico half the year now, and I still get satellite television